Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another session of Pastor Doug's virtual VIP midweek Bible study. Say that real fast.
I can't.
As you can see, my ministry partner, Pastor Tall Doug, is here with me today, and I got to tell you, when you're not here, you're really missed. You know that. And who am I supposed to pick on if you're not here?
Right? Well, it's always Scott. You always give Scott a hard time. Pastor Jim gets an equal share of the abuse. So
I wanted to follow up on our message that we just did on Sunday about in the Created to Dream campaign that we're in, taking the initiative. And when you're talking about a new start, you have to take the initiative. It has to begin. And I want to just get right into it and get into the steps that we're going through because I want to cover all of them real quickly today if we can. Number one, when we're talking about seizing the moment, what does that mean to you, Doug, if we talk about having to seize the moment?
Well, I remember, what was that movie with Robin Williams, Dead Poets Society. And there was a phrase there, I guess it's Latin, carpe diem, seize the day. And that became the big sort of catchphrase for a while. They used it in the movie, and everyone was using that for a while, carpe diem, seize the day. And to me, that means to appreciate, make the most of each day, each moment, because we go through life with kind of like, well, we're optimistic. We think we'll be here tomorrow and next year, and we're all going to live to 100. Well, that's not reality. So, we don't ignore the future, but we have to make the most of today.
Yeah, you have opportunities that come your way, and you've heard strike while the iron is hot. I'm trying to bend some metal and get that all heated up. And that's already, if I start hitting on it when it's red hot or orange hot or whatever you want to call it, I can create it and I can form it. But if I wait till it cools off, I can't really change it. And so that's where that all comes from. So when we're dealing with change and dealing with restarts, number one is we have to seize the moment. We're talking about Bartimaeus. Remember, he was the blind beggar that was outside the town of Jericho, and Jesus walking by. Jesus walking by right now. You wait a couple of minutes, he's going to be too far to hear your voice. He'll be gone. He had to seize the moment. And then secondly, and this is a big deal, I think, you have to tame your fear. What scripture do you have there for tame your fear? Read that for us, will you?
Out of Mark chapter 10, verse 48. Many of the people scolded him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted even more loudly, "Have mercy on me."
What's that mean to you?
Well, if you listen to had he listened to the people who told him to be quiet, he wouldn't have gotten Jesus' attention, wouldn't have gotten the healing, the blessing that he was seeking. And I think that goes to our current culture where, we as Christians, I think, tend to stand out more and more now because a lot of the culture has just seemed to like go off the rails. And if you don't agree with them, they cancel you. Well, don't be afraid of that. Still, continue to press the issue and to live your faith.
I think when we're looking at sharing and speaking what's on our mind, no matter what the case may be, we're very sensitive to what kind of reaction there might be to our statements, and that's talking about being canceled and all that. And that's why you see a lot of people, for example, don't want to run for office. I don't want to be ridiculed. I don't want to be torn apart. So I'm just not going to do it. So a lot of the better people maybe aren't involved because of that. And we just have to realize and work by our own convictions, not from convictions of fear, but from convictions of what we believe to be true. And in this case, Bartimaeus, he just had faith that Jesus Christ could help him, and that's what he was going to do, and he didn't worry about what anybody else said. Number 3, it says, announce your faith. Announce your faith. So it's probably like claiming the strength of Christ. If you don't announce your faith, it's kind of like when I talk about the Bible being filled with thousands of promises. I have to claim those promises, and to claim those, that's an aggressive, positive, forward type of movement. Would you agree?
Sure, intentional.
Yeah.
And I always love the statement that talks about if you're on trial. I think I learned this from you. If you were on trial for being a Christian, would there be any evidence against you? Do people know you're a Christian? Do your closest friends and even family know you're a Christian? You need to let them know through your lifestyle, your example, and also your words. Announce it.
What it says in James 4, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. And so what we're called to do as Christians is we're constantly seeking, what is God's will for my life? What is God's will for me? What is God's will in this situation that I'm in? And we're constantly deferring to that. And that's what we're praying for. God, we want your will. So as a pastor in my life, as a husband, as a dad, as a friend, an uncle, whatever I might be, I want God's will for my life so I can be the best pastor, dad, friend, husband that I can possibly be. Without God's power in my life, I can't do that. And it's just pretty simple. The next one is number 4, receive God's grace. Doug, tell us about that. Receive God's grace.
Well, it's interesting. I think the whole summary, if you will, to boil it down, of Christianity is to believe in Jesus and accept God's free gift of grace.
Mm-hmm.
We have to receive it. We don't go out and earn it. We can't earn it.
Right.
It's something that is just freely given by God. So we just have to accept it. So we receive that, and then we are transformed.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new life. We have a new heart. We have a new perspective on things, and that's what turns us into people who are not perfect, of course. We will still make mistakes, still fail, still sin, but we are now trying our best to follow Christ and not make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah. And when we're trying to correct ourselves in anything, it could be anything that's going on, we naturally feel like we have things to do. We have a responsibility to do, and I'm going to be the doer. But what this point is saying to you is God has done this for you. And that's what the grace of God is. You're getting something, you're gaining something, and you didn't have to do anything for it. You didn't earn it. In fact, you did everything but earn it. And that's all of us. We did everything but earn the grace of God. There's no reason normally that he would be so gracious to us, but he has chosen to do that. And so our job is to just take it. Our job is to take this greatest deal ever on earth, ever offered anywhere in the universe, and just accept it. Accept it. And I think that's such a big deal. And that leads us then to the last point. Number 5 says, take the next step. In a fresh start with God, the step may be different for each person. For some, you begin by first accepting Jesus Christ, but then others have already done that. And I think sometimes we get a little stale in our worship pattern. We become way too influenced by the vacations and the time of year, by society, the things that they want us to do, or sometimes other people want us to do that pull us away a little bit from our regular worship patterns. But we take the next step towards becoming a better Christian.
Mm-hmm. And I think that next step is feeding right into the program we have here of Finding Your Purpose with Ease. Mm-hmm. Because part of it is to understand what this church believes. It's simply the Bible. And then to become more mature Christians. And that is a lifelong pursuit. We've accepted Christ. You're a new Christian. Let's call you a baby Christian. It doesn't matter how old you are. Mm-hmm. You may have been coming to church for 40 years and you never really got it to the point of where you have a relationship with Christ. So you're a baby Christian. You've been saved. That's great. Now the next step is to learn more about it, to not stay in that infant stage, but to start learning more and more so now you can share the word with somebody else.
The Bible says in James 2:4, if people say they have faith but do nothing, their faith is worth nothing. Mm-hmm. So the point is this. We can accept Jesus Christ and his forgiveness for all the things we've ever done wrong. And then there's a growing process that should be taking place. If it isn't growing, if you're not moving forward, if you're not advancing and deepening your faith and your belief and your understanding of God, then you're stagnant. It's kind of saying that what your faith is worth nothing. And so we accept this free gift that God has given, and then God expects us to then be an active believer and try to grow in what we believe, and people should be able to recognize that around you.
Sure, and I like the analogy of CPR. If I know CPR, and you pass out in front of me here and think, oh, that's too bad, and I don't use that knowledge, what's the point? You have to take the knowledge of God and that love and put it to use, put it in action.
I like that. I love that analogy. In fact, I've never heard it
I
positioned that way.
will help you though. I won't just say, I'll put that.
I was wondering what that means. I don't want mouth to mouth.
You're not getting that.
You can push on my chest a little bit.
I'll get your heart going.
I appreciate that. Guys, we love you. We're really excited about this campaign and the small groups. I don't know how your group was. My room was packed on Wednesday. I'm so excited and looking forward to tonight. I hope you can join us in our small groups this week and hope to see you on Sunday morning as we take off. And I think it's lesson 3 in our campaign. God bless you and have a great week.